Welcome back to The Dive. Interest hikes, U.S. President Biden's State of the Union address, sanctions impacting the global market, Russia's reserves, the biggest surprise in the market, gold and silver are a few of the topics that our guest will deep dive into today. He is the co-founder of the subreddit WallStreetSilver. Jim Lewis is joining us today. But before we bring Jim on, do me one quick favor and go ahead and smash that subscribe button for me, please. Hey, Jim, welcome to The Dive.
Well, thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for hopping on with us today. Okay, so let's start off with the Fed. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell said this week that he still sees, yeah, that guy right there. He still sees interest rate hikes coming, but noted that the Russia-Ukraine war has injected uncertainty into the outlook. Do you think the Fed is just blowing hot air, or do you think we will see tangible rate hikes and quantitative tightening this year?
Well, the funny thing about this is that there's been a big competition among all the investment banks as to how many rate hikes they are predicting. It's almost been a race. At first, it was 4 rate hikes this year, and then I saw Bank of America predicted as many as 9 for 2022. But I really question, GDP now is down to 0%, so the economy is clearly slowing down. Everything going on in the world, I really have a question as to whether or not they can raise rates a lot without just blowing up the housing market, the stock markets, everything. There's so much uncertainty out there. But you're right, they've put so much credibility in raising rates that I think they have to do it at least once, just to maintain credibility. But then what I suspect you're going to hear is, we're going to raise rates and then evaluate and just watch. And so we might just have a one and done type of scenario for raising rates. I really doubt they're going to be able to raise rates a lot without blowing everything up. And but then there's the big question about inflation, because one rate hike is not going to bring inflation back under control. So I tend to lean that you can't taper a Ponzi. The current system's a Ponzi scheme, and that's not my quote. I stole it from someone else, but you can't taper a Ponzi. So if they really start tightening, everything's going to fall apart. Just my opinion.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so let's move on here. The U.S. Treasury Department announced new sanctions that would immobilize any assets of the Russian central bank in the U.S. What is your read on the impact the recent sanctions will have on the global banking system?
Well, the banking system's one angle, but I think the far more immediate concern is, what is Russia's incentive to keep sending natural gas and oil to Europe and the United States if we're freezing all their assets? Yes, we're technically still sending them dollars and euros for energy, but we've immobilized their ability to spend those dollars and euros in the banking system. So essentially, what's their incentive to keep sending the natural gas to Europe? I mean, natural gas basically keeps the lights on for the electric grid for half of Europe. So Putin controls the little on-off switch for the electric grid for half of the countries. So what happens when Putin decides, why should I keep accepting your dollars and euros if I can't spend them? Well, if you're taking my $100 million yacht, well, why would I send you more natural gas? What's the point? And it undermines the world reserve currency status of the US dollar. If we weaponize SWIFT, the payment system between the international payment system, if we weaponize that, how many other countries are going to rethink their dependence upon the US dollar and SWIFT? We are essentially pushing everyone towards China. China has an alternative system called CIPS, where it's set up, it's working in China, it's working in Russia, it's working in India, it's even working in some European banks. So there are alternatives. If we weaponize the US dollar through the banking system, we are essentially accelerating the decline of the US dollar. Other countries are watching what's happening right now with Russia. They are far more likely to reduce dependence upon the US dollar going forward based on what they're seeing happen right now.
Now, according to a report by Russia's central bank, China is the single biggest international custodian of Russia's reserves, holding 13.8% of their reserves as of June 30th, 2021. How do you view China's relationship with Russia, the reaction to the invasion, and where do you think this all goes from here?
Well, think about it. Yes, we've technically have all these sanctions on Russia between Europe and the USA and Russia, but China does not have those same sanctions on Russia. China is the manufacturing powerhouse for the world and the trading powerhouse. So China can buy anything from Europe, China can buy anything from the USA, and then Russia can buy anything from China. So all we're doing is playing a game of moving the cups around here. So I guarantee you, Russia has plenty of shell companies already set up in South Korea, in China, in all the countries of Asia to buy anything they need from the West and just funnel it through Asia. So essentially, we're pretending that the sanctions are cutting off Russia, but all it is it takes a little longer for the shipping route to come through Asia instead of direct from Europe to Russia. So I think the sanctions, while yes, they are having an impact, Russia was very well prepared for what's going to happen. And Russia has all the gold, and Russia has $80 trillion in commodities. All the commodities of the world, Russia has in massive abundance. Russia is the gas station for the world right now because they export so much natural gas, so much oil. They're the largest exporter of wheat in the world. They're the largest, 40% of the palladium market, which is used in chip manufacturing, computer chips, we can't do without Russia. Russia is holding a lot of cards that they have. I'm not trying to be a pro-Russian supporter. All I'm trying to point out is the reality. Russia's holding a lot of cards in this game that they have not played yet. And so if Russia decided to do retaliatory sanctions against Europe, cut off and reports today already show that they've cut off natural gas through one of the pipelines that comes through Poland to Germany. It's supposedly dry now, as of reports this morning.
Oh, wow.
Within weeks, if that's true, and the natural gas power plants are a huge piece of the electric grid in many countries in Europe. France is mostly nuclear, so they'll be okay, but most of the other countries need natural gas for the electric grid. You might see rolling blackouts in Europe within weeks as they exhaust. You can't just replace 40% of your natural gas. There's no other supplier that's sitting around with that much natural gas that they can redirect to Europe. That's just a fact.
We're 2 months into 2022. What has been the biggest surprise for you in the markets?
That gold is not actually at $3,000 an ounce right now. I'm shocked that we're still below 2,000 with everything going on. And maybe that's just because I don't know what I'm talking about. Many people tell me that I'm clueless, but I'm shocked that silver is not already trading above 30 on its way to $40 or $50 an ounce. I mean, these are key, I don't want to get put on the tinfoil hat. I actually have a tinfoil hat here on my desk for those moments just to put them on. But there's a lot going on in the world that is suppressing precious metals, I think, because if gold starts rising too much, that's like the canary in the coal mine that something's wrong with the currency, something's wrong with the dollar. So there's a lot of incentives to suppress the price of gold artificially just to keep it from keep the panic out of the financial system. So,
Well, gold has moved up since the beginning of February. What do you view as the key price levels for gold?
Well, I think it's up above 1900 now, solidly. 1933 as we're recording this. If you start seeing gold above 2000, that's going to be a real big warning sign. That's going to hit That's going to make major news, regular media news that, oh my God, what's going on with gold? And then we could see the FOMO, fear of missing out, start to happen. And gold trades on fear also. When the fear trade kicks in, when people really start worrying about what's happening to the world, what's happening to my currency, what's happening to my buying power, my groceries are going through the roof, gasoline prices, oh my God, it's like, I'm seeing in Europe, $8-9 a gallon, or everyone can figure that out in liters wherever you are. What is it in Canada right now? Is it going up through the roof in Canada where you are
Yeah,
also?
I think it's 161 the last
Is
time
that
I
is
saw
that
it.
way above normal? I mean, what was it a
Yes.
year? What was it a year ago? Below $1 a liter? I don't know.
No, it hasn't been below $1 in a while, but I think it was around like $1.30 or something.
Yeah. So
It's
it's
gone up quite a
happening. It's
bit.
showing up in it's showing up in people's pocketbooks, and food prices are going through the roof. That's a key thing for what's going on. People don't realize, well, people are figuring it out right now, but Ukraine is one of the biggest Ukraine is the breadbasket of Europe. Massive amounts of corn and wheat are grown in Ukraine. And guess what? The planting season's supposed to be happening soon. You think they're going to be planting the normal levels of corn and wheat this year? I don't.
No.
I do not. So think about, the seasons are the seasons. You can't get that back if you miss the planting
No.
season.
No.
So what happens when harvest season comes later this year? I mean, the North Africa, the Middle East, they get a lot of their wheat and corn from Russia and Ukraine. So think about when we had the Arab Spring. It was mostly caused by food inflation, by very high food prices that caused revolts. So later this year, that's all going to start hitting people. I mean, not everyone's getting their corn and wheat this year. There's just no way to fix that now. There's no way to fix it. So I expect that to be a major issue later this year.
Okay, yeah, to see some
I
angry
hate to be
farmers for sure.
I hate to be the doom and gloomer, but I mean it's just the reality. Yeah.
Okay, so we have to ask the Wall Street Silver guy about silver.
Yeah.
Some argue that war is good for silver. Certain weaponry, such as Tomahawk missiles, rely heavily on silver. Do you think that this has a material impact on the silver market?
No, I think that's a rounding error probably. I mean, how many Tomahawk cruise missiles get? Yeah, the military doesn't have is not they're price insensitive. They don't care what the price is really of a weapon. They need performance. But I don't think there's enough silver involved total in weapons being, and think about it, we're not even involved in this war yet. So most of the weapons being used are just very more basic bullets and anti-tank missiles, not the high-end stuff that the United States produces. Although I heard someone joking that if silver gets in really tight supply, they may start going to mine silver in Afghanistan for all the missiles that we fired in Afghanistan for all those years, just because there's probably so much silver sitting around Afghanistan. I don't know, it's just a stupid joke. I know. I think the missiles and weaponry is all a rounding error for the total supply of the silver market. I think far more goes into electronics, consumer electronics, your iPhones, your solar panels. Solar panels are turning out to be a huge growth market for silver. Electric vehicles use 3 or 4 times more silver than a regular traditional internal combustion engine car. So those are the markets that I think affect silver far more than weapons. Weapons is a minor piece of the market.
So silver has had a good run recently. Are those the factors that you believe has helped this present price movement?
I think a lot of it is uncertainty in the market. There is a little bit of a fear trade happening, but silver and gold are moving up primarily because of monetary policy. The European Central Bank, our own Federal Reserve, they're just printing. You can't keep expanding money supply indefinitely without it eventually having an effect on inflation. And that's really showing up in the numbers. There's only so long that they can keep the metal prices down. And when they start catching up, you're going to see something explosive, I believe. We could easily see $100 silver within the next year or two. It would not surprise me at all. I think this year, definitely, this year,
That's going to be
2022.
my last question here. Yeah, what's
Yeah,
going to happen for 2022 here? What's your outlook for silver?
well, we're going to get through 30. A lot of people are confident we're going to get through 30 in the coming months. It just seems inevitable at this point. And then it's like, what stops it? When silver really starts moving, it can go from 30 to 50 in a matter of weeks. I mean, that's once it gets through those marks and people really start having the fear, it moves quickly. But then the question is it a big spike up and then right back down? Or is it a big spike up and it finds a new higher plateau? I have no idea. Historically, it's come right back down after the big spike. But a lot of us are hoping, or at least thinking, that the demand supply imbalance, there's a huge deficit. We're consuming far more silver than we're actually producing out of the mines. So there needs to be a higher plateau at a higher price to encourage mining projects to start mining more silver. Otherwise, there's no incentive to go out and open. At the current price, there's no incentive to really go hunting for more mines to start producing more silver.
So Jim, before you head out here, do you think you could let our viewers know where they could go to find more of your commentary?
We're on Reddit for WallStreetSilver. If someone were to Google or search Reddit WallStreetSilver, you can find us easily. We have a YouTube channel, WallStreetSilver. We're also on Twitter, Wall Street. If anyone has a Twitter account, we're on Telegram. We have 10,000 people on Telegram. The Reddit community has 182,000 members right now. Our YouTube channel is up to 42,000 subscribers, and it's mostly an interview channel for people on precious metals, gold, silver topics. And those are our primary sources. We're also on all the other social media platforms like Gab, Facebook, but those are the primary ones are Reddit, YouTube, Twitter, Telegram.
All right. Well, that's all I have for you today, Jim. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing all your
Thanks.
insights with us. It's been nice to meet you.
No, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much for tuning in today. We'll be back again tomorrow with the latest news and updates. So go ahead and like and subscribe.